Hey, what's up, Speakerphiles? Wellington here and welcome to another video. With me here is the Harman Kordon Studio 5. I have the Studio 6 right here. And now I have the Studio 7. It's finally in the studio. As usual in this video, we're going to be opening it up, see what comes with the speaker, get to learn about the new specs, if there's any new specs at all, and of course get a high quality binaural sound sample to get our first impressions of the sound of the Studio 7. If that's what you're here for, well, let's get into it. Okay, so before we even get inside, looking at the picture right here, literally the design has kind of changed in comparison to the older guys right here. But this design is actually not brand new. The very first Onyx speaker had this kind of design. They just kind of like refined it a little bit and gave it an aluminum handle right there and just made it, you know, look a little bit nicer and more modern in comparison to the older, the very first Onyx speaker that had the same kind of design. They now have two tweeters on here and then the main woofer. What this means is we have walked away from the mono sound that these two guys that you see here are rocking. So now we are into the stereo sound output, which is something I'm really thankful for. And this setup here is kind of like a 2-to-1 kind of sound setup. It's not like stereo, but I guess stereo in that way. 2-to-1 is, you know, you have left, right, the tweeters are playing left and right, and then this is like the main woofer is like the it's the sub of the speaker. It's like a stereo system, 2-to-1 stereo system, but I appreciate that. And then of course Bluetooth, I don't know why they always advertise that it's got Bluetooth. Yeah, it's a Bluetooth speaker, so it better have it. And then 8 hours of play time, that's the same as these old guys. I don't know why they keep not expanding that, because a lot of people complain about the battery life of these older speakers, and it looks like it's going to be the same thing here. Wireless dual sound. Now this does not say if the dual sound is going to be stereo. I have another one coming that I'm going to be connecting them and testing that out to see if we get true stereo or just mono if you connect the same two speakers to play together. And according to this box, this is 50 WRMS, which is not a lot considering how much sound you get out of at least these older speakers, and then 50 hertz to 20 kilohertz as far as the frequency rating. Nothing more to look at on here, so let's just open it up and see what we get. The paperwork stuff, and then we also get the power brick. This is kind of disappointing. Most people are moving over to USB-C, but we still have the proprietary connection right here for charging. When I saw the pictures, I saw a USB-C port on there, but it's probably just for service, which is kind of annoying. I feel like, come on guys, JBL has moved over to USB-C even on the JBL Extreme, which means this thing can get power through USB-C. And ooh, man, you guys seeing this? Not too bad. The fabric is a little bit different in comparison to the Studio 6 right here. Like just slightly different, but not by a lot. Still that nice and smooth fabric. So this is what I was wondering, how they did it, but you have this little pointy rubber piece right here where it sits and then rests on the back here on this aluminum handle right here. Man, I feel like, okay, they're about the same weight. With these guys here, it was always, you recommend it to someone who is asking for a nice bass sounding speaker. I'm like, oh yeah, Studio 5, Studio 6, very good when it comes to bass. But then they look at it like, it kind of looks like a handbag. I'm like, yep, you're kind of right. And some people just don't buy it just because of that. But with this, it's really easier to recommend because it's a modern, sleek design that I do like it. Your Bluetooth, volume rockers, your power play button right there. And then in the back, since everything is open like this, I'm guessing it doesn't have any sort of IP rating. But you'll have your aux input and you have your power input. And the USB-C that I said I saw in the pictures is literally service. Come on, guys. It's running Bluetooth version 4.2. What? 4.2 instead of 5.2, 5.3. So that is not cool. It's running one 120 millimeter main woofer and two 25 millimeter tweeters, 50 wattage bi-amp, and that is in AC mode. So maybe in DC mode, it's even lower than that. Very, very possible. We might test out AC versus DC in one of the videos coming up. The battery charge time is 5 hours. The music play time is up to 8 hours. And the weight is 3,295 grams. They don't say anywhere about any sort of IP rating, like waterproofness or anything like that. So what that tells me, it doesn't have anything, because they would be all over that completely waterproof or an IPX5 or whatever rating. They don't have any of that, which means, yes, whatever you get, just make sure you keep it away from water. It probably would take a little bit of a splash. I guess I don't really know that, so don't listen to me. But yes, it doesn't have any sort of rating, so just keep it away from water. Which means this guy here would be a better thing to buy if you still prefer the design and you don't mind it, you'll have the sound, and you're going to be mainly using the speaker outdoors where it might be, it might get into conditions where it might get splashed on or anything like that. This does not have any of that rating here. So yes, there you have it. So how about we hear how it sounds like? I think the first thing to do is turn it on. Yes. I'm actually going to turn on the binaural microphone just so we get that real sound experience. So if you want to get the best sound experience, make sure you turn on your headphones starting now. I want to be able to hear it and give you my first impressions. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let you guys listen to it on that side, and I'm going to walk around behind the camera so I can also listen to it at the same time. Just wanna make sure this is in the center. Okay, all right, let's listen to these guys and see what we are all about here.
Whoa, I hit record a job, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, finish friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the deep, these no Cartiers. Pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go on flight. Whoa, that money clip us now, that know now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip, neighborhood
right, so that's it. What do you guys think? Between these two speakers, what did you hear? See, my first impression is the sound is good. So it's very close to what you get out of the Studio 6, like very close. The only thing I'm kind of noticing is that bass is a little bit more lifted. It's not necessarily going deeper than the Studio 6. Like that bass performance is not necessarily deeper frequencies, but it's just lifted up a little bit so you can hear the bass a little bit better than you do on the Studio 6. Like it's not by a lot, but I kind of noticed it. It's the first time I've been listening to this as you guys. The song you listen to are the songs I've listened to, so I'm going off exactly what you guys heard, and that's what I feel like I was getting out of it as far as best performance. Overall though, I think the Studio 6 is sounding a little bit brighter in sound, and this is mainly because of the highs are seeming to be a little bit sharper than they are on the Studio 7 right here. Now, these are not bad highs. It still sounds good, and I actually love the highs that are coming out of here, and that's mainly because of how special they sound like, and that's mainly because of the duo tweeters that are putting out separate channels, left and right coming out. You definitely hear the more spatial sound coming out of the Studio 7 compared to the very directional sound and mono sound that comes out of the Studio 6 right here. If I were to judge these two, I feel like these sounds a lot more like the Studio 5 right here, and that's mainly because of the highs and the brightness of the Studio 5 is not as bright as the Studio 6. So this is very close to what the Studio 7 sounds like, with the main difference being the little bit of lifted bass that you find on the Studio 7 and a better sound stage that you get out of the Studio 7 because of the stereo sound that the two tweeters are putting out. Now, I'm not disappointed at all with the Studio 7 right here. I do like the changed design so everybody doesn't have to make the joke of handbag, and I also like that we have a stereo output with a better sound stage coming out of the Studio 7 right here. From just listening to it with you guys, I think they did good. They did good. I was just so nervous that, you know, because of everything they have changed in comparison to the older versions of the speaker, sound is going to be so different. Maybe they will cut down on bass performance, blah blah blah, but I'm happy that despite of all the changes, we still have that good bass performance that we've come to expect out of the Studio line of speakers. So obviously, I'm going to be coming back with more videos, sound battles. What you've heard is 50% volume, and that's because currently it is 11 and my kids are sleeping and I didn't feel like turning up volume all the way to maximum, so I can't tell you currently which one is louder than the other, but we'll find that out in the upcoming videos when I compare it to the JBL speakers like the Extreme 3, the Extreme 2 maybe, and you know, some other speakers that you guys might be interested in seeing how the Studio 7 compares to them. Leave them in the comment section down there. The Charge 5 is coming out to the channel really soon. I've been scouring the internet to get my hands on it, and I still can't because it was released over in Europe but not in the US yet, so we still kind of have to wait. JBL has been doing that a lot lately. I feel like with most of the other speakers that they've released this year, last year too, they've always released them in Europe first and then coming here. So same thing, we just have to wait until we can get our hands on the Charge 5. But yeah, it'll be coming very soon. I think that's all I have to say. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.